Hi, you're watching Sparrow Speaks. This is your host, Sparrow. My pronouns are he, him, and they, theirs, theirs. I also go by Billy Boy. In this show, I talk about alternative philosophies, metaphysics, and spirituality, psychology, and sociology. I don't have a major in any of these, but I like talking about it a lot. Uh, if this is your first time listening, thank you. Um, I'm on episode 12. I would say this is part 2 of my perception of time. In this episode, we're going to be talking about kind of like the tree of choices, and divine timing. That goes into a lot of different categories. This time I actually wrote some stuff down. So, 111 on the clock. Maybe it won't take as long. I sound more chipper than the last episode, but it is midnight where I am filming. Oh yeah, if none of this resonates, if you're still here but you're planning on leaving, drink some water at least. I was about to say, I hope you can hear me, and it's like, yeah, we're good. We're good. I do tend to be more quiet at late night, though, because I worry about people trying to sleep near me. Even now, in an apartment, in my own place. I'm staying at a friend's, but my point is I'm by myself. I guess I'll just jump right in then. I wrote something about this the other night. This choice grid. Oh yeah, here he goes. What if all our alternate selves exist on the same grid, running parallel timelines? Not sure if that's the word I want to use just yet, but parallel timelines is what I'm going with. That you shift to each time you make a choice, including the timeline where you choose not to choose. And I don't know if I'll go more into that or not, the journal entry. But basically, if you're seeing your life as like what are those called? Types of video games where you can make your own choice. But basically, what if it's similar to video games in which I'll give you the example, and I've probably used it before. I love using this for my example of time. Detroit Become Human. If you make a video game, every time the player goes through the game, they're playing a specific timeline. But all the timelines all the scenes have already been animated. And so I'm starting to think of time in that way of, because I already felt like making a choice was quantum shifting. But basically, there's the you, to give an example from my own life, there's the you that went to the club, and then there's the you that didn't go to the club. And then as you're hanging out there, as the night goes on, there's the you that went to another club, and then there's the you that went to the restaurant with some other friends, or there's the you that just got a ride home. And they keep branching off into this tree Um, and so trying to think of which order to say all these things. Quantum shifting. I guess I wanted to say that this is why I'm not overly fond of the idea that your future you is your higher self, because the higher self is the your utmost potential. And while yes, technically there is a version of you somewhere out there that is reaching your highest potential in this form, if you believe that the possibilities are infinite, then no two yous are quite alike, you know? So I like to, in general, I speak to my higher self for intuition and guidance. Myself, the universe, source, spirit, whatever you want to call it. But sometimes I will, and I'll get into this a bit or later. I didn't actually put it down. Sometimes I sometimes it's on purpose and sometimes it's not. But I get future memories, what I call them, and they're just like a scene going in my imagination or a vision I summon of a possible future. But so when I'm trying to call forth that vision or future memory, if we're thinking of, if you saw the last episode, the ripples in the water, the core drop, I will specifically ask to speak to the future self of the outcome I want. So say I want to speak to the future self that has X amount of money or has accomplished this goal in this, maybe this time frame. No. You don't ask for time frame. You can if you want, but I guess if you're mentioning timeline, say like the quickest timeline to you, if that's what you're trying to do, because then you will find the timeline that corresponds with you accomplishing your manifestation in the quickest, simplest route. You access that version of yourself. You dial their number, and that's where your future, your visions are coming from. And since anyone with a psychic abilities, like, we're all tuned differently. For me, it's visions. It might be a sense of knowing for you. It might be just audio. But these are things that if you carry on this path will go that way. Now, this is something they don't really bring up when there's debate about whether readings are real or not, and visions. They definitely are, but there's so many different timelines. So this is why a lot of tarot readers will tell you to take the readings with a grain of salt and decide for yourself what you want to do, because this is only when you're getting your reading, it's only from the point you are at there. Like, think of a GPS on your phone. As you turn around, the compass will change. So, if you decide that that's not the outcome you want, or, just life happens and you drastically change, maybe a family death or happens, or you get into a new relationship, you move home, and then that vision doesn't come true. It doesn't mean it's not real. It's just you didn't play that timeline. And hold on. Yeah, okay. I guess I'll just bring up like what my experience has been with 11:11 on the clock. Um, what my experience has been with my timelines and my purpose, or whatever you want to call it. Purposes plural, I would say. I talked about this a bit in the Soul Ramble, probably part 2. I don't know. But I personally feel like one of my purposes is to have choice. Like, to literally do whatever I want, and spirit and my spirit guides will provide the tools to go on that path. Now, I can't say for other people because I'm not in their brain space, but 12:12 on the clock. Maybe most, if not all people, I wouldn't say all people though, but a lot of people, I feel like, especially nowadays, are feeling like, oh, I've lived a lot of past lives. I cleared a lot of karma. I kind of just want to do whatever I want to do. Like, there's so many people who feel infinite in that way, which everything has its own pros and cons. The issue with having infinite choice is you have to choose. And unfortunately or fortunately, you can see it in any light. I've taken a lot of paths and then stopped and changed paths and gone back and forward, and got myself lost quite a few times. But I mean, I've learned a lot of lessons, and at least at this point, I'm actively making choices because 13:13 on the clock. That's a special number for me. But if you're making a choice, I decided this around this time last year. If you're making a choice, then you've made the right choice. 13:33 on the clock. But no choice, I would say, besides not choosing, is the wrong choice. Any choice is the right choice. You choose your perspective, and that includes for your choices. You can choose whether your choice is going to be beneficial for you or not, regardless of what the choice is. I brought her up in the last episode, but I didn't actually speak about what she did much. Dr. Ellen something. I still haven't looked up her name. But what she does is 14:14 on the clock. She runs tests and surveys and stuff to see how people's perception alters their own body's health in ways that are often unexplainable in science. And I'm not digging on science. 14:44 on the clock. I think magic and science and other things are inextricably connected. Just what we call magic is just things that are unexplainable. And in some ways, I hope, I mentioned this with the soul episodes, 15:15 on the clock. Dang, now it's stuck in my brain. I'm going to see 15:55 later. I bet you anything. This time the table is not shaking because I just set the phone up on its mic chip on a candle. You work with what you got. I don't want to get too sidetracked. This is going to be like a 3-parter. I guess it doesn't matter that my episodes are like 30 minutes long if people enjoy it. I watch people's podcasts that are like, there it is, 15:55 on the clock just now. I watch people's 45-minute podcasts or an hour, whatever. Basically, in Dr. Ellen's test, things were like wildly different than you'd expect. Well, I guess society would expect. People seeing ads for sick stuff and tissues and everything felt sick. Most of the participants felt sick in the days leading after that, as opposed to people who were in a room that didn't have all that sickness ads. Another test was 2 groups of senior citizen men, or getting up there, had them live in apartment units, and one group would act out as if it was like the 70s or however many decades ago, like their youth. And then the other group was just reminiscing on the past. And after like a week or two, the group that was actually living in the past showed noticeable signs of age reversal. They seemed healthier. And a lot of tests like that. She has a whole book on it. Or you can watch like an hour YouTube video. It's great. Or a 17-minute TED Talk, whatever. But one of her big points was, there's no way we can see the outcome of our choices. Sometimes we just make up regret, like, oh, I didn't go to this school rather than this school. And it's like, we don't know if it would be better or equal or worse than what we went through. We just know that we don't like what we chose. And so, okay, I'm gonna branch into divine timing, and I might end up coming back to this because I'm not sure where this one topic goes to. I just know it'll show up at some point. So, if you take into account the choice grid or the choice tree, what is divine timing then? And of course, this is just my opinion. Oop, I bumped the mic. Oh, naughty. Yeah, some people with manifestation 1919 on the clock just now. I'm drawing a little guy on my face. On my finger. A face on my finger. You can't really see it. It's okay. That'll probably develop over the night. I started drawing somewhere and I just keep doodling on it. But so yeah, some people with manifestation don't believe it's real, and some people do. Um, and of course, religion and like upbringing can change your perceptions on this, but I do believe divine timing is real, but I don't think it's what most people in the West at least say it is. I feel like divine timing is like luck. It's like lucky, what we people call lucky coincidences. It shifts. It's not necessarily that it's been set in stone, but that it shifts as you do. And let me backtrack a little. Um, it's silly the source I got the idea of this from, but don't knock it. Um, I believe, at least at the moment, it could change. 11:11 on the clock, or 21:11 on the clock. Yeah. Try not to have my hands like shining too much. Got a mini ring light. But at the moment, I believe that certain moments in your timeline are set in stone, and the rest is fluid. And I may or may not explain in this episode why it is that my opinion on that might changes, but I don't want to get too sidetracked from time. I got that idea from Doctor Who, and I say don't knock it because a lot of sci-fi and space fantasy is technically future memories because it inspires the future. For example, automatic doors. It was in Star Wars and then later came about in our day-to-day life. And watches, the Apple watches that can do all kinds of stuff. Like we saw that in stories first. Time. Yeah. Divine timing. I don't think divine timing is necessarily someone sitting above you going, this will happen on this day. I feel like you made a choice, so you went through a doorway and into this next timeline. You made this shift. And if you truly believe in your manifestation and it's something that is truly meant for you, a lot of people will also say what is meant for you will always find you. 23:23 on the clock. I don't know if that's exactly true, because I feel like there are timelines where you didn't get your manifestation, but that was only because you believed you wouldn't. And so you did manifest, but you manifested the lack of. And so that's a possibility, but shifting your perspective to get your manifestation is often realizing that there isn't trillions, if not infinite amount of outcomes. So you're going to put yourself in the direction of what you do want and believe that it's going to happen. I'll give an example of coincidence. You end up talking to a flowers salesman or a barista or something for an extra 5 minutes on your shift, on your route to work. And then when you get to work, 24:44 on the clock, you happen to be in the building at just the same time as a very important like influencer or connection you need, like, is coming through the lobby or wherever you work. If you had gotten there 5 minutes earlier, maybe you would have been in the back putting on your apron or whatever number of things. But because you were in the mindset to be able to receive these blessings, you wanted a certain outcome, then your trajectory changed. 25 on the clock. So you say, oh, you meeting that director or whoever was divine timing. Yes, but it was divine timing within your will. And I mean, I used to be obsessed with destiny a lot when I was a kid. And I'm still unpacking what that means for me. But I don't think divine timing and destiny are the same thing. I feel like destiny is a lot more tied to karma and past lives and stuff. So maybe there's a bunch of different timelines branching off from both your nipple. That's a male nipple, YouTube. But branching off from your past lives and your current life and your future lives based off of all the choices you make. And so if you had some kind of deep connection with someone in your life, whether that be friend or foe or lover or family member, as long as you have that connection, when you die, then that connection will come back around at some point. So I feel like people can be destined to meet, to resolve something. You didn't have resolution in one life, so it came back later. Or even, like way later in your life where you feel like you're a different person. But then of course, if you're thinking about divine timing, there's technically destiny within it, but it's like the package, the packaging that came, all the stuff that came in the kit from that choice. So like you meet a director or a manager or some influencer at some point, and then you keep in contact, and wouldn't you know it, you start seeing angel numbers corresponding with that choice that you are that there is movement. And if you saw my last episode, I believe you can set your manifestations for your angel numbers. 28 on the clock. I hope you can hear me. I'm grumbling a bit. Ooh, burping. That's usually a sign spirit's coming through you. A lot of these videos I don't intentionally plan to channel spirit, but I set my circle, the space is open for that. So if I'm in alignment, things can come through me that are from me, but like are from my higher self / the universe / any other entities that I invited to the space. But so yeah, divine timing, package, destiny. Oh yeah, all this. So you see the angel number on the license plate right after you got the phone number for someone important. You make another choice. You make the choice to contact them again. And then there are people that this guy works with who are also in the field, the other fields you like. And so then maybe through you continuously making choices along that path, seeing more angel numbers, having more coincidences happening. You get to be on a show or something, get to have your own podcast, and it's paid for. And then, like, through that, you meet, like, the love of your life, or, like, someone who becomes a very close friend to you, or any other sort of other achievements or relationships that can come through that. That is divine timing. It was destined because you kept making choices towards this outcome you wanted. And so, in that way, it is divine timing, but it's also not divine timing, because I've learned that you can have more opportunities. I mentioned in the last episode, there might be things you regret doing or not doing that might actually, it might have been a good thing that you didn't take that path. And maybe I'll get back to this later. I feel like there's people who feel like they're completely winging it, and there's people who very much feel like, no, I'm meant to do A, B, and C. And within that, of course, there's flexibility. But they have one or only a few very specific callings. That is totally real true. Real as well, truly. But so I'm not sure if there's things that happen in your life that were going to happen no matter what. There's definitely, maybe we can generalize it more to this many percent, 80% of sparrows have a chance of this meeting or this success. And then the others are the ones who didn't follow their intuition, or whatever thing happened that wasn't favorable to them. But, and then, like, things in the grand scheme of the earth, like humankind, I think in a lot of different versions, certain events rang true. And maybe that's because I'm just fiddling around with ideas right now. But maybe that's because it was such a big event. I'm talking about, like, Franz Ferdinand. I'm talking about the guillotines, like the French Revolution. I'm talking about certain things that a lot of people know about. Trail of Tears. Maybe it was so big that the history of it, the telling of it, spread out so wide that the chances of that having happened in that timeline ranges to so many more options, because in that version you were told the story of what happened. It happened to so many people, and then so many of their descendants knew about it. But there are timelines where there were so many different factors that it shifted the entire boat of it into something different. And I'm only saying this from the perspective that all possibilities are there. But I definitely believe that like a high percentage of timelines can have similar results. I'm going to bring up the importance of intentions. Should I do another episode? I probably should. Because I could just keep talking. Okay, I'll be right back.